As freelance writers, we've chosen a career path which we're excited by, that we are comforted by. We can sit in a room, and all we need is a laptop, and we can sell our ideas and our well thought out arguments, discussions, persuasive material, whatever, to make a living. And it's easy. You, a room, and working with what you work with best, words. The problem is that it's easy to become comfortable, and that comfort will stifle your business growth. So many freelancers that I speak to are running okay businesses. They're earning some money. Maybe for them it's just a moonlighting type thing, a little bit of, beer money for the weekends. Maybe they're earning just enough to survive, but not as much as they really want. And the thing is, they know what they need to do to grow a much better business. They know that they have to do the things that they're perhaps not enthused by, they're not excited to do, like pick up the phone and cold call, go to networking events. These things are, for many freelance writers, terrifying. We are generally quite introverted. We like to sit down, do our research, pick it apart, put it back together into something that we can be proud of in a narrative form. But we don't really want to have to be aggressive and push our way into other people's days, trying to get them to pay us money for what we do best. And it is a huge shame. People become comfortable and become lazy. The old saying, good is the enemy of great. When you're doing well, the business, how's the business doing? Oh, it's good. It's never going to be great because you've got that fallback. You're never going to worry about money. Sure, you might not have as much as you want. You might not be able to take this full time if you're a part-timer, but you're comfortable. And that's okay. It's a big, big issue, and it's one that I've struggled with multiple times throughout my freelance career. I've grown this business in different ways, and I've stripped it back down because I didn't like the way the business was going, and grown it in different ways again. And each time there is a stumbling block, fear, that prevents me from really examining what it is I need to do and really going out there and doing it. But there is a way to get around that, and it isn't particularly pleasant. However, it is extremely productive. The concept is nothing new. In fact, it's one of the oldest concepts for sort of strategy there is, and it comes from this wonderful book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. In this book, which I'm sure you've heard of, it's used for a lot of business strategy nowadays, but it is, one of the first books on military strategy that goes very deep into everything. There is a quote in that book which says, "Soldiers, when in desperate straits, lose the sense of fear. If there is no place of refuge, they will stand firm. If they are in a hostile country, they will show a stubborn front. If there is no help for it, they will fight hard." Basically, in this very militaristic way, if there is an escape route and it is a choice between death and escape, people will escape. They will take that much safer route. However, if you cut off their ability to escape, then the choice is death. The only way to prevent that is to fight harder. And so by putting yourself in a position where failure is the only option, you will do everything that you can to not fail. It sounds incredibly damaging, right? But bear with me, because I've done this a number of times throughout my life, often without really realizing, and these are the periods that I can attribute the best personal, professional growth to. The best experience I've had in my life is when failure was not an option, where, I had to succeed. The first was when, I was 18 years old and I moved on my own to Hong Kong because I wanted to study traditional Chinese martial arts. At 18 years old, I'd saved up £4,000. I had accommodation in Hong Kong sorted for the first 2 weeks I was there. That £4,000 was supposed to help me find an apartment and find a job. That was my runway. I had £4,000. However long I could make that stretch was how much time I had to basically create a life for myself in a country where I knew nobody. I didn't know the language. English is obviously a very big language in Hong Kong as a former British colony, but completely taken out of my element. First time in my life that I'd done anything like this. $4,000. That's all I had. And I did things that now I don't think I could do. I wanted to get into the movie production game. So I literally found the name of the single Western person who was quite influential in these areas. I found the two companies that he used to work at, which were two of the biggest movie publishers and creators in Asia. I walked into their head office and I said, I would like to speak to this guy. And they said, who are you? And I was like, my name's Pete Boyle. Tell him I'm here to see him. They were like, well, he doesn't work here anymore. He's, set up his own business. It's a big ballsy move. About a week after I'd done this, I got a phone call from this guy saying, it's Pete Boyle. I was like, yeah. He thought I was the actor from Everybody Loves Raymond, so agreed to have me over to his house for dinner. But basically, moved from the UK to Hong Kong, managed to get a meeting with a big-time movie producer simply because I had to make something work. I didn't have an option of sitting back and just going, things will probably work themselves out. I had to be active. In that same period, within 2 weeks, I'd found a temporary apartment that I went to go live in on Lamma Island. Really didn't like it. So then within another 3 weeks, I moved to Central in Hong Kong Island. And I also sorted myself out a job. Basically, as an 18-year-old, within 5-6 weeks, I'd had a meeting with a movie producer, I'd found 2 apartments, and I'd found a job halfway around the world with no real qualifications. I'd done a weekend teaching English course. The only reason that I was able to achieve these things is because I knew that I didn't have the luxury of waiting. I didn't have a backup plan. So I had to make it work. The same when I started my freelance business, I just quit my job. I had some money saved and I was like, I have to make this work. And here I am 8 years later, still doing this. And, doing it relatively well. It can always be better, right? But that's the thing. Freelancers that I speak to are so worried about failure that they try to avoid it at all costs. They never put themselves in a position where they really have to push themselves. They take the easy way out. It's like, well, this guy's only going to pay me a little bit of money, but it means that I can afford rent this month, which is great. Now, what I'm saying is that you do need to put yourself in a difficult position. You do need to do something to galvanize your action, your career. But don't do it at your expense or the expense of your family. This isn't, you're not fighting a war in ancient China. You don't have to back yourself up to the wall where the options are death or success. What I would recommend that you do is, one, actually, I should say, if there's anybody out there who's advising you to remortgage your home for this or do this, fuck them. That is terrible advice. What you need to do is you need to save up some money. If you really want to make a good go at this freelancing business, or you want to shift what you're currently doing as a freelance writer to a new industry or whatever, give yourself a buffer. Save up some money for 3-6 months so that you can survive. That will cover your rent, your bills, your food, everything that you need to pay for. Any repayments on student loans or whatever. Save up enough money for a 3 to 6 month buffer, and then just fucking gun it. Really go at it and go, right, I've got 6 months to make this work. I've got 3 months to make this work. I don't have the luxury of not making this work. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have to go back to that crappy 9 to 5. Give yourself enough time to make it work, but also only give yourself 1 or 2 options. One is to succeed at doing this. The other is to go back to whatever it was that you didn't like before. There should always be that way out, but it's something that you really don't want to do. Put yourself in that position and you will be amazed at how much you can achieve. I truly believe that just generally people are far more capable than we each give ourselves credit for. You don't understand what it is that you can achieve until you're in a position where the only option is to succeed. If you look at any of the big sort of famous people who have succeeded in their particular area, whether it's the freelance copywriters that you truly admire, whether it's a business owner, whatever, a lot of them have come off the back of numerous failures. And they, you hear these like podcasts and interviews with them, and they say, like, I had to make it work this time. I didn't have the luxury of another failure. I had a wife and a baby, and I had to make it work. When you have to make it work, you will. So put your back against the wall. Give yourself only one option, which is to fight your way through to success. And if you don't make that success, then you've got to do something horrific, like go back to your 9 to 5. But I truly think that is one of the best ways that you can really push yourself to succeed something great and to get out of the good level of freelancing to the great. Don't put yourself in any real risk. Don't put your family at any real risk. Make sure that you give yourself that runway, whether financial or whatever, first. But do this. Give it a try. Do it on a small scale first to see how it works. And you'll be very, very surprised, I think, at what you are capable of achieving. That's it for today. Bit of a different video, but something I was talking to my accountability partner about, and we stumbled upon this, and it was like, every time in both of our lives, he as well, where the only option is to succeed, where failure, you just, the thought of failing at that is just horrendous to you. It is terrifying. You will pull it out of the bag because you have to. And it might not be as clean as you'd hoped. It might be messy, but you'll scrap your way up there to the top. So yeah, give it a shot, and I'll speak to you in the next video.